So my name is Linda, and I am an actress in Los Angeles in my 40s. And the fact that I'm sure you have no idea who I am can give you a good idea of how well that's been going. And, that's always not the easiest thing to talk about. And I find I talk about it less and less, which is sad, but as the realities of how brutal this business and life can be become less and less romantic, I find myself not even talking about it as much, avoiding it at dinner parties. But that wasn't always the case. There was a time where I would tell anybody who would listen about me being an actress and all of my goals. And I think about a time where that was really the case. And it was when I was in college, and I was my first semester. I was 18 years old, and I couldn't have been more determined and cocksure that all of my dreams were going to happen, and they were even going to happen exactly the way I wanted them to. And I was, 18 years old, and where I went to college was actually 12 miles outside of Midtown Manhattan. We were literally 12 miles outside of the Lincoln Tunnel. And on this one particular night, I remember I had this roommate who was actually kind of amazing, much larger than life personality, also 18, and she was an incredible singer. And we decided on this one night that we were going to go into New York, and we were going to meet up with a bunch of our friends who were going to see the Christmas tree lighting at Rockefeller Center. And this is pre-cell phone, like a million people show up to the Christmas tree lighting, so naturally we didn't find our friends, but we did find a really good time. And we wandered around New York, and we went all around Broadway, and we had drinks and went to theaters and just talked about how amazing our lives were going to be. And then we were driving home, and not proud of it, but tipsy, on this snowy night, and we were driving through Secaucus, East Rutherford, New Jersey. If you're not familiar with it, it's kind of the part of New Jersey where a lot of characters from The Sopranos just plain never came back from. And we got a spare tire, flat tire. And so we pulled over, and neither one of us knew how to change a tire. But magically, these two men just pulled up and asked us if we needed help. And we were like, oh my God, yes, thank you. And as they were changing the tire, we started giggling because we're just embarrassed and silly and tipsy. And the guy looked at me and he said, are you laughing at me? And I said, no. And he said, because if you're laughing at me, you can change your own fucking tire. And we were like, no, we're not laughing at you. We're so stupid and we can't change a tire, and thank you. And so he finished changing the tire, and then we were about to drive away, and they both jumped in the car with us. So one of them was sitting behind my friend and I, and they said that their car wouldn't start, and we had to take them to a gas station. And we said, well, why don't we'll go get you some gas and we'll bring it back. And the guy said, we just changed your tire in the snow. You can't bring us to a gas station. And we didn't feel like we could argue with that. So we started to drive to a gas station. And then they said they didn't want to go to that gas station. They wanted to go to their gas station in Newark, which is, Newark is a very bad neighborhood. And, but we did, and we drove them into Newark, and the gas station that they wanted to go to was abandoned, and they couldn't get in. And I think that they planned on it being abandoned. I just don't think they planned on not being able to get in. And so then they said, okay, take us back to our car. And we were driving back, and they just started talking to us, and they said, where were you guys doing tonight? Where were you? And we said, we were in New York, and we were walking around Broadway. And they were like, why were you doing that? Why were you out by yourselves? And my friend was like, well, I'm a singer, so I'm in the city all the time, and she's an actress. And the guy just looked at us, and he looked at my friend, and he said, okay, so sing. And she's driving the car and just looking around, and he just gently tugs on her ponytail, and he says, sing. And so she, who starts to belt out Am I Blue from On the Town, and I wish I could do her amazing blue-eyed soul voice some justice, but I can't. But just imagine that she's driving and being carjacked, and she's singing, Am I blue? You'd be too. if you know, on and on. And she sang the whole song for them. They seemed to like it. And then they looked at me and they said, act. And I really didn't have anything prepared for a carjacking. But the only thing that I could remember was a monologue from chapter 2 that was made famous by, it's the Neil Simon play. And I couldn't think of anything else, and this is, you know, this dates me so much, but I just suddenly found myself belting out Marsha Mason's monologue, which is, you know, I'm wonderful, and I am nuts about me, and if you are stupid enough to throw someone as sensational as I am aside, then you don't deserve as good as you've got. And I guess they liked it, but I did the whole monologue for them, and then right as that was ending, they noticed, they thought that their car wasn't there. But I knew that it wasn't where the car was supposed to be yet. I knew their car was further down, and the guy started to really freak out that his car has gotten towed. And I said, your car didn't get towed, your car is further up on the other side of the road. And he said, good, because if my car got towed, I was gonna fucking kill you. And then they said, well, the car's not working anyway, let's get a room. And they pulled over, or they made us pull over to this motel called the Peter Pan Motel. And it's a very dark spot on the side of the highway. It's actually not there anymore, but I looked it up on TripAdvisor, and it was in 2009, it was listed, it had the great distinction of being listed as one of the dirtiest motels in America. And it said that guests check in frequently, as in 6 to 8 times a night. So the hooker clientele really thought it was great. And so we're sitting there in the car, and the guy that's sitting behind my friend in the driver's seat tells this guy behind me to, you know, give me his credit card. And so he gets out, and I look at my friend, and I just said, get him out. And she was like, what? And I just said, get him out. And nothing. She's gone. And so I just had this moment where I said to the guy, he can't use your credit card. They're going to ask him for ID. And if he goes in and uses your credit card and doesn't have your ID, they're going to call the cops. And for some reason, he bit, and he jumped out of the car to grab his friend to get his credit card back. And in that moment, I looked at my friend and I just said, drive. And she said, what? And I had to actually reach forward and take her hand and put the car in drive. And then I had to take both of my hands and push down on her leg to push down on the gas and drive away. But it worked, and we drove away. And when I think about this story, first of all, who says I can't act? And but what I really think is, I think about me then and how naive I was, and I think about today, and I realize that there is one thing about me that has never ever changed. There's one thing that's present in me today that was present in me that night, and that is that I never once thought it was over, and I never once thought about quitting.